Hi, I want to read the introduction to my new book, The Age of Unreality, which is a collection of 15 of my Sunday Pages essays on literature and tyranny. This is the preface. It's called You Must Give Testimony. As a nation, as a people, we cannot and will not heal until the rough beast and all of his thief-in-law accomplices are brought to justice. The psychic damage that Donald Trump has inflicted upon us and will continue to inflict for as long as the Redux lasts is incalculable. His continued presence in our lives is nothing less than spiritual assault and battery. The Biden presidency, which we hoped would decisively win the battle for the soul of America, proved merely to be a 4-year lull, a Delaware speed trap on the I-95 to tyranny, as insufficient as it was brief. All of Joe's many great achievements may as well be colorful chalk drawings on the pavement. The MAGA thunderstorm is washing them all away. Not that we should be surprised. Disappointed, yes, profoundly, but not surprised. By the end of 2021, the writing was already on the wall. We all wanted, not to translate the Dantean verse spelled out in bold letters before us. But there it was, penned in Merrick Garland's flimsy hand. Lasciate ogni speranza voci entrante. In Italian, it sounds so pretty. From the moment that grotesque monster came down the gilded escalator in the tacky tower that bears his name, the news has been coming too fast to process, but also, paradoxically, not fast enough to bring relief. This torrent of news brings to mind Asphodel, that greeny flower, a poem by William Carlos Williams. Williams is best known for short verses. His 33-word poem about eating the plums in the refrigerator is probably his most anthologized work. Asphodel, by contrast, is a long, rambling poem, a bit odd and hard to parse, written when he was 72 and supposedly about him confessing his infidelities to his wife as he lay dying. Here is the end of the poem. I read this as a celebration of the power of poetry, which can, and which shall, provide solace from the madness of horrors swirling around us. My heart rouses, thinking to bring you news of something that concerns you and concerns many men. Look at what passes for the new. You will not find it there, but in despised poems. It is difficult to get the news from poems, yet men die miserably every day for lack of what is found there. Hear me out, for I too am concerned, and every man who wants to die at peace in his bed besides. The key line, it's difficult to get the news from poems, yet men die miserably every day for lack of what is found there. The lack, that is, of what is found in poems. Art deficit, literature dearth, poetry famine, the quintessential MAGA complaint. And now Trump's in charge of the Kennedy Center, so it's only going to get worse. Never in my half-century on Earth has the future been more uncertain, and never before has the need for poetry, for art, for literature, for beauty been so urgent. I recall a 1993 poem by Zbigniew Herbert, lived from 1924 to 98, called The Envoy of Mr. Kajito. Born in Poland, now Lviv, Ukraine, Herbert had the misfortune of living under two brutal occupations, first the Nazi and then the Soviet. That harrowing experience informs his work. I can't pretend to know what the poem in its entirety means, but I've always read it as a meditation on grief and on the need to continue to serve the greater good, even in the face of death. These lines, in Bogdana Carpenter's translation, I take as an instruction, if not an outright command. Go among those who are on their knees, among those with their backs turned and those toppled in the dust. You were saved not in order to live. You have little time. You must give testimony. Be courageous. When the mind deceives you, be courageous. In the final account, only this is important. And let your helpless anger be like the sea, whenever you hear the voice of the insulted and beaten. The poet Robert Hass wrote that Herbert was, quote, an ironist and a minimalist who writes as if it were the task of the poet in a world full of loud lies to say what is irreducibly true in a level voice. Taking on that task will be vital to our survival during the Redux. This book, The Age of Unreality, is a collection of some of my Sunday Pages essays, originally published at Prevail, most of them written between the 2024 election and the second inaugural, somehow just 3 weeks ago, as I read this. These pieces, and my decision to produce them as a book, is a concerted attempt to heed Herbert's command and give testimony. Or, as William Carlos Williams puts it in Asphodel. And so, with fear in my heart, I drag it out and keep on talking, for I dare not stop. Listen while I talk on against time. It will not be for long.